joint line tenderness is the single most important test for a meniscal pathology. The Aplase test was described as a grinding method for medial and lateral meniscal tear, and it is done in a prone position. It can be done for the sake of completeness of the test and the completeness of examination, but the specificity and sensitivity of the joint line tenderness is much more.
I think for postgraduates, it is important that they know about this test.
Yes.
And if the examiner insists, they should be able to perform both for the medial as well as the lateral meniscus.
I think you can demonstrate it.
You can demonstrate it.
Pull it out. So one flexes the knee to 90 degree, puts a pressure on the leg, and one can take it in external rotation, which indicates a medial meniscal pathology, or an internal rotation of the tibia, which indicates a lateral meniscal pathology. So any tenderness in this place, internal rotation is indicator of a lateral meniscal, or a tenderness in the external rotation for a medial meniscal.
Dr. Jitesh, do you have a question to the examiner and examinee?
So my question is regarding pivot shift test. Sir, if ever the knee is really painful, are we expected to perform the test?
Pivot shift will never be positive if there is a locked coexisting bucket handle tear. So it is painful, as well as the bucket part of the handle part of the bucket handle will block the increased rotation. So one may not get a positive test in presence of pain as well as a locked meniscal tear. In fact, other tests may also not be very easily elicitable. Lachman may still be elicitable, but most of the other tests will not be easily elicitable in presence of a locked meniscal tear.
But his question is, can a candidate in the exam say that since the patient was having a lot of pain, I did not perform the test?
Yes. Pivot shift test, you can say that.
So my other question is, when we do the anterior draw test, so is there any significance of the position of foot, keeping it neutral or keeping it in internal rotation or in external rotation? If so, why is that?
Yes, that is very much significant. Normally we do the test of anterior drawer when the tibia, when the normal position of the limb, which is about 15 degrees external rotation. If we increase the external rotation, that means there is a more strain on the posterior lateral part of the knee, and one can observe increased movement of the upper lateral tibial plate. If we do the same test in internal rotation, the test may become negative because all other ligaments of the knee become tightened. So having the plate test in the normal, usual external rotation is a standard method. Okay.
So I have a question, sir. We have done the examination mainly in the supine position, and we have looked at the front of the knee. Can you tell us, since the patient is prone, what are the important things to be looked at the back of the knee? Because the examiner usually forgets to look at the back. And I was asked in my case, when I was asked in DNB, tell the findings posteriorly.
Okay, yes. So one has to, in a completeness, one has to examine from behind also. One basically has to look and palpate for any Baker's cyst, which is very commonly palpated in the posterior medial part of the joint. And one should look for any lymph nodes in the popliteal area. These are the two important things one must look in this place. Another thing which it is helpful in a prone position is to find the minimum flexion deformity one can elicit if the patient is in a prone position.
We have to lower down the edge so that his thigh is supported, but the leg is at the edge.
So one can see that if there is a flexion deformity in any of the knee, the leg will be very visible. One side will remain higher as compared to the opposite side. Here, there is no deformity, so one can push the leg equally backwards. So in prone position, one can make out early flexion or a minimum flexion deformity, best appreciated by this method.
So thus the significance of the Baker cyst also increases if there's a medial joint line tenderness posteriorly. There can be an association with the medial meniscus tear, which is very common.
The Baker cyst can be primary or secondary. A secondary Baker cyst can occur from a posterior horn medial meniscus tear, which is irritating the synovium posteriorly. But a Baker cyst if there is a meniscal tear and there is effusion in the knee, the Baker cyst may not necessarily be due to the meniscal tear. It can be the effusion also, which can be.